You are welcome to another grand episode of HN What's Your Say? The #1 listening show where we discuss real issues with real people like you. We are still featuring R. Kelly. Real name Robert Sylvester Kelly. Also known as the R&B King. In yet another major legal mistake of a lifetime, the three-judge panel from the Chicago-based 7th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals in Friday's ruling chose to become part of history the wrong way, by upholding trial judge Harry Leinenweber's conviction against R. Kelly and the subsequent 20-year sentence that was way above the standard guidelines range. In yet another weird act of racism that will be remembered as regrettable decades later, the appeal judges have again preferred to ignore what the law says about new laws or amendments to existing laws, and how they should be applied with a non-retroactive approach. Among the charges R. Kelly was subjected to in Chicago were those that allegedly occurred during a time when the statutes of limitations still applied, and whose limitations had dully expired by time the government filed their lawsuit. R. Kelly should have therefore been acquitted on these charges and left to deal with any other charges that truly applied to his case. These expired charges shouldn't have even appeared on his charge sheet in the first place, and that was the fair approach. It's just so unfortunate that even the team of Chicago appeal judges has decided to add their names to the history book of judicial officers who were willing to override the laws of this land, in order to ensure that the personal desires of giant Sony and individuals that are fighting R. Kelly are met. The ex post facto nature of new laws and existing law amendments is now something globally known even by non-legal practitioners who have taken time to read books. We all know that this ex post facto standard of laws is not just another section of law that can be overlooked. There is an important purpose for which it was decided that new laws are applied non-retroactively, and that was to avoid a mix-up of issues as the world advances, and the matters that were not illegal in the past became illegal now. Or maybe even the other way round, where matters that were previously illegal could all of a sudden turn legal, in which case the government would have a huge burden to compensate all individuals that were previously charged with such expired counts. Imagine if government had to compensate all companies that were initially involved in betting business which were prosecuted for being illegal back then, considering the business was later on legalized. To avoid such confusion, therefore, it is a global standard that any new enactments do affect future events and not those in the past. It's also important to note that there are so many successful white Americans who would today be either in prison or bankrupted if this approach to law interpretation of non-retroactivity was not recognized and applied. The Rockefeller billionaire family, for example, which accumulated wealth in billions from playing Monopoly in business, and from crushing out all competition, would have to pay for these crimes with the current regime of laws against this business approach, and even actions of past presidents which are now considered illegal would also be open to prosecution, and their families would have to pay in many ways for the actions of their forefathers. But because the enactors of these laws knew well this would make legal advancements destructive to past national achievements, they decided that new laws should not affect past events. It is rather sad that when it comes to handling cases where defendants look like R. Kelly, the legal standards are quick to change and the appeal judges are open to breaking a few laws and violating the standards. The reason we say these appeal judges have preferred to write history: we have seen the U.S. judicial system make such mistakes in the past, and decades later on have to reverse them when more sane leadership comes into play. Until today, it is still regrettable how Martin Luther King was not listened to when he fought against white supremacy, which until today is a plague in this our country. Who could have ever imagined that the first black heavyweight champion of boxing, Jack Johnson, who was also charged with the freshly enacted Mann Act violation in 1912, would eventually receive presidential pardon posthumous, yet the system until today continues to wrongfully charge black American celebrities for the same. This trio of appeal officers will decades later be remembered as yet another team of judges that ignored the law to serve the interests of just a few individuals and the giant corporation Sony, which clearly needs R. Kelly behind bars, while compromising the standards of the Department of Justice in this country. They probably want to see R. Kelly in jail as their main agenda, but while they exercise their personal interests, they ought to keep all their operations within the laws of this land. When it came to addressing the matter of the 20-year sentence being way above the standard guidelines range, the appeal judges again became sentimental and suggested that because the sentence was not issued consecutively to the one in the New York Federal Court of Brooklyn, then it was fair to issue the 20 years above guidelines range. However, this is not how the law works. If something is illegal, it remains illegal even if the perpetrator has done many legal things. And this means that even though Judge Leinenweber chose to be lenient on one aspect, it does not make it right for him to break the law on another, and he should have followed the guidelines during the sentencing process. According to Millie Redbone, it's rather strange how this country has over time created a system that steadily eliminates great African Americans from society, completely depriving them of a chance to live a wealthy life, and if they succeed at this, to deny them an easy transfer of wealth to their children and therefore to the next generation. Look what they did to Jack Johnson, to Mike Tyson, to Michael Jackson, to Bill Cosby and now to R. Kelly. The list is endless. It's like a chain reaction intended to punish all black success, and to hamper its transfer to the generations that come after, which would empower the black community and subsequently threaten white supremacy. It's about time the black community and all sympathizers began to question events such as Trump's pardoning of Jack Johnson posthumous, yet no one came up to challenge the decision made by the judges at that time. New tabloid headings as the one that said legendary boxer gets pardoned by Donald Trump 105 years after baseless conviction should be interrogated, and a solution arrived at early enough before pictures of current judicial actors become part of the Museum of Laws to be remembered for their role in such acts of racial discrimination. The U.S. justice system should be ashamed to have been a part of the decision that is now being referred to as a baseless conviction, but instead they are busy repeating the very same mistake, only that the victim name has changed to R. Kelly. It's a shame on the DOJ. If you wish to take part in a live interview on this channel discussing any of these topics, let us know by emailing us on sasha@hnnewsroom@gmail.com for scheduling. That is all we had for you today on HN What's Your Say. To keep updated whenever we post a new video, subscribe to this channel now. Also remember to hit the bell icon and enable notifications. And feel free to share your opinions with us in the comment section below, and let us know if you would like us to publish your views in our next release. We value all our subscribers' opinions.